The humid Memphis air hung heavy on August 14th, 1958, as 23-year-old Elvis Presley clung to his mother in Graceland's dimly lit hallway. His muscular arms, which would soon charm millions, trembled as they wrapped around Gladys's frail frame. "Don't go, Satnin," she whispered into his shoulder, using the pet name she'd given him as a baby. Just hours before shipping out to Germany for his military service, Elvis stood frozen in this moment, unaware he was saying goodbye forever. Gladys Presley had always been Elvis's anchor. From their humble Tupelo beginnings where she worked extra shifts to buy his first guitar, to his meteoric rise to fame, she remained his fiercest protector. Friends recalled how she'd stand guard outside recording studios, warning away gold-digging women. But by 1958, years of stress and poor health had taken their toll. Doctors diagnosed cirrhosis of the liver, though some whispered it was really a broken heart, unable to bear her son being drafted away. Their final embrace lasted nearly 10 minutes, according to housekeeper Alberta Holman, who witnessed the scene. As Elvis pulled away to leave, Gladys grabbed his face with both hands. What she said next would haunt him for the rest of his life. "They're gonna make you forget where you came from. Don't you let them, Satnin. Don't you ever forget your mama loves you." 2 days later, she was gone. This moment encapsulates the central tragedy of Elvis's life, the unshakable bond with the woman who believed in him first, severed just as the world demanded more of him than ever. It's a story about the cost of fame, the weight of a mother's love, and how one farewell can define a lifetime. 9 years after Gladys's death, on a quiet winter night in 1967, Elvis wandered into his mother's untouched bedroom at Graceland. The space remained frozen in time, her hairbrush still on the vanity, the faint scent of her perfume lingering in the air. As he ran his fingers along the spine of her well-worn Bible, a yellowed scrap of paper fluttered to the floor. The note, written in Gladys's shaky handwriting, contained just 7 words. "Don't let them steal my boy." Elvis collapsed to his knees, the paper trembling in his hands. Cousin Billy Smith, who found him there, recalled, "He was making this awful sound. Not crying, not screaming, just this deep animal pain. He kept saying, 'Mama knew all along.'" The discovery reopened wounds Elvis had tried to numb with fame and pills. In private recordings from that period, his voice cracks. "I became exactly what she feared. They dressed me up, pumped me full of pills, and turned me into a damn carnival act. I let them steal me." His guilt manifested in disturbing ways, demanding chefs prepare Gladys's recipes exactly as she had, paying psychics thousands to conduct seances, forbidding anyone from moving so much as a hairpin in her room. Graceland's staff maintained Gladys's bedroom with museum-like precision, her nightgown still draped across the bed. The alarm clock set to 3:30 a.m., when she'd wake to make Elvis breakfast before school. Faded grocery lists preserved under glass bodyguard Sonny West remembered finding Elvis there at dawn. He'd just sit on her bed, holding that note, staring at her things like he expected her to walk in any minute. This heartbreaking discovery marked a turning point, the moment Elvis truly began wrestling with the cost of his fame. As we'll see in Act 2, his attempts to honor Gladys's memory would take increasingly desperate forms, from reckless spending sprees to dangerous drug use, all while keeping her final warning folded in his wallet until the day he died. Key revelations, coming next. The $100,000 jeweled casket he bought for her reburial. How her death influenced his 1968 comeback special. Why he refused to sing "Peace in the Valley" after 1958. The ceiling fan in Graceland's hallway creaked as it pushed thick August air across Elvis's sweat-dampened dress blues. Gladys's fingers, once strong enough to work double shifts at the garment factory, now trembled as they traced the gold buttons on his uniform. "Look at my boy," she whispered, her Mississippi accent thickening with emotion. "All grown up and a soldier now." Her sunken eyes searched his face like she was memorizing every detail. Elvis forced a grin, shifting his weight from one polished boot to another. "Ain't nothing but a quick trip, Mama. Be back for Christmas with German chocolates for you." Then came the moment that would replay in his nightmares for decades. Gladys suddenly gripped his face with surprising strength, her nails leaving crescent marks in his cheeks. "They'll try to take you from me, Satnin," she hissed, her breath smelling of the menthol rub she used for her breathing treatments. "The suits and the Hollywood types. Don't you forget who you are. You're Gladys and Vernon's boy from Tupelo." Elvis would later tell his Memphis Mafia that in that moment, he knew. The way her pupils dilated, the unnatural heat radiating from her paper-thin skin. His mother, who'd predicted both his fame and the 1956 car crash that nearly killed him, was saying goodbye. "I felt her slipping through my fingers," he confessed in a 1975 recording. "But the army owned me. That paperwork might as well have been chains." As the black Cadillac pulled away from Graceland, Elvis rolled down the window for one last look. Gladys stood perfectly still on the porch, her flowered house dress fluttering in the breeze. It was the last image he'd ever have of her alive. From Germany, Elvis became obsessed with checking in. 3 a.m. phone calls where he'd make Gladys describe what she'd cooked that day. Weekly flower deliveries of her favorite gardenias. A $5,000 wire transfer to install air conditioning in her bedroom. Then came August 16th. Elvis was mid-performance at a German beer hall when a military officer pulled him aside. The words "emergency phone call" barely registered before he was sprinting to the base commander's office. Vernon's voice came through the line like broken glass. "Son, your mama's gone." The sound Elvis made brought soldiers running from adjacent offices. He collapsed onto the linoleum floor, tearing at his uniform until the buttons scattered. They found him hours later, curled in a supply closet, clutching his dog tags and repeating, "I should have stayed home. I should have stayed." In a cruel twist of fate, Gladys died at 46, the same age Elvis would be at his death. Both passed in August, the month Elvis came to dread. Their final photos show the same hollow-eyed stare. As we'll explore in Act 3, this loss became the crack in Elvis's foundation that never healed, driving his future relationships, his reckless generosity, and ultimately, his self-destruction. The king of rock and roll never stopped being that devastated 23-year-old boy kneeling on a German office floor. The black leather-clad Elvis of the 1968 comeback special stunned audiences with his raw intensity. But those closest to him understood the performance's true meaning when he paused mid-show, wiped his brow, and whispered to the audience, "This one's for you, Mama." The subsequent blistering rendition of "Trying to Get to You" wasn't just a musical comeback. It was a son's cry across the void. Throughout his career, Elvis maintained painful boundaries around Gladys's memory. Never performing "Peace in the Valley" after singing it at her funeral, considering it her song. Rejecting film roles that involved mother-son death scenes. Firing a band member who joked about overbearing mothers during rehearsal. The depths of Elvis's unresolved grief revealed themselves in heartbreaking rituals. O would have guards open Forest Hill Cemetery after hours had a custom mattress made to fit the tomb's ledge where he'd sleep. Once spent 14 hours reading her all his fan mail aloud. O paid a full-time medium $50,000 per year to channel Gladys. O installed intercoms in her bedroom, in case she spoke. O, in 1976, tore apart Graceland's walls looking for hidden messages she might have left. O bought 17 Cadillacs in 1974, because Mama always said rich folks drive caddies. O donated anonymously to Tupelo orphanages every August 14th, had chefs prepare her fried peanut butter banana sandwiches daily, then left them uneaten. Elvis's final journal entry on June 26, 1977, written in shaky script. Would trade every gold record, every movie, every scream from every girl just to hear "Satnin" one more time. The doctors say I'm dying. Maybe now I'll finally see Mama. His cousin Billy Smith later reflected, "We watched fame kill Elvis in slow motion, but really, he died the moment they took Gladys away. The rest was just him trying to breathe without lungs." Elvis's story exposes the cruel paradox of fame. The world adored Elvis, while the man inside ached for the one person who loved Vernon and Gladys's boy. His $100 million empire couldn't buy back what army paperwork stole, those final months with his mother. In preserving Gladys's room perfectly, he unconsciously preserved the childhood self-fame destroyed. The king's tragic legacy teaches us that neither wealth nor adoration can replace unconditional love. As the velvet ropes at Graceland remind millions of visitors annually, some losses, like that final hug in the hallway, alter destinies beyond repair. Elvis gave us everything except the part Gladys took with her. Maybe that's why his music still moves us, because at its core, it's just a boy calling for his mama in the dark. The world remembers Elvis Presley as the hip-swiveling pioneer who changed music forever. But in those quiet Graceland hallways when the fans had gone home, he remained forever satinin, the mama's boy who never recovered from losing his first and most devoted fan. That final embrace in August 1958 marked more than a goodbye. It was the dividing line between the authentic artist and the manufactured icon, between the tender-hearted son and the lonely legend. Elvis's tragedy wasn't his early death. It was the 20 years he spent dying slowly, trapped between the man Gladys raised and the celebrity the world demanded. Every sequined jumpsuit, every pill, every arena scream was just another layer burying the simple Tupelo boy who craved nothing more than his mother's approval. As his cousin Billy observed, the real Elvis left with Gladys. What remained was just a beautiful ghost. Yet in his unshakable devotion, Elvis gave us perhaps his most authentic performance, showing that even kings kneel at the altar of a mother's love. The untouched bedroom, the midnight graveside visits, the refusal to sing her favorite hymn. These weren't the acts of a spoiled star, but of a heartbroken child preserving his last connections to home. This story isn't just about Elvis. It's about the universal ache of losing those who knew us before fame, before success, before we became who we are. If there's someone in your life whose love shaped you, honor them today. Hit like if this moved you. Subscribe for more real stories behind the legends, and in the comments, tell us who your Gladys was. Because as Elvis showed us, the most powerful legacies aren't gold records, but the love we carry forward.